You sort of mentioned the concept of foreign entanglements, sort of George Washington's reference when he was departing his presidency. Clearly, that's part of the constitutionalist philosophy. Your attitude towards doing business with other countries, China, the Middle East. The Paul administration is leave them be, let them get their own houses in order. And what should the tenor of U.S. relationships be in the international?
Well, we should permit it. Trade as fast as possible and evenly as possible. I want low tariffs. Tariffs are taxes, and it doesn't tax the wealthy. It taxes the poor person who would like to buy cheap products.
So why were you opposed to NAFTA? Why was the hand so high?
Because it's government management of trade for this special interest. It's not really free trade. There are more requests from our government to NAFTA to raise tariffs. We want protectionism. If you're a big corporation, you might get some protection from that, where free trade is different. In Washington, you have managed international trade under the UN NAFTA type ban or WTO, which is just bigger government, and I don't like that. Or you have the protectionist that says that no, we shouldn't trade, high tariffs, and punish the consumer by making them pay higher prices for their products.
So I have to ask. I've asked other people, other candidates who've come. So for a company like Google going and doing business in China, you think it was a good thing for us to begin operations?
That's right. That's your right under the Constitution, and it's your right in a free society. And it shouldn't even be. Pardon me?
Even if there are restrictions that make people uncomfortable in terms of access.
That's your business. That's your business. But the market, if some group in this country frowns upon it, they have the right to try to punish Google in the market. But they don't have the right to come to me to punish Google and say you can't do it. So your contract is your business, and some contracts aren't as good as others. But what I want to do is protect the right of freedom of contract, which is one of the elements of a free society that's crucial. Its free contract is similar to the free association of two individuals in a social sense, in a sexual sense, in a religious sense. You don't want to interfere. So in the economic sense, and I apply the same rule to economic voluntarism, that you can come together with any voluntary contract, and the government has a responsibility if one side violates it and there's an argument. I'm still at the point where I don't think you go and shoot each other. I'd still use the courts to settle these disputes.
So immediately the idea of contracts come to mind. So clearly then your position on issues like gay marriage, you'd be supportive of that?
I'm supportive of all voluntary associations, and people can call it whatever they want.
So prostitution, contract, fine?
That would not, I think that's been around a long time, and they haven't been able to stamp that out. I wouldn't be having the prostitution police energized from Washington.
So, but and again, consistent with the libertarian philosophy, what people do on their own time, in their own way, so long as it doesn't hurt other people.
That is the rule.
That's the philosophy.
That is the rule. And of course, we should, and I do, I extend that. That if you can't hurt me and I can't hurt you and I can't take your property and we're supposed to follow the contracts and the agreements we have, the government should do too. And that's where people fall down. You mean the government can't take from one and give to another? And can't they ever interfere with? How often does the government interfere with voluntary contracts? What contract can you do today without government approval? And how can you use your land without government approval? How can you maintain your land without paying your rent to the government? So those things are the things I want to work away from. I want private property ownership, and I want voluntary contracts, and I would like to.
Is that at all levels of government or just at federal? So zoning regulations wouldn't be in favor of that? Well,
as a federal level, I couldn't prohibit it. The states can do it. But if you want to argue the case of the market, you can come to Houston. The whole city of Houston was built without zoning laws. But,
Consumer safety legislation?
Not legislation, but there could be consumer groups. Maybe there's some group out there that analyzes electronic equipment and helps me buy things.
Consumer reports.
Yeah, something like that. And good housekeeping seal of approval. We would have a lot more of those if people wouldn't become dependent on government. They became dependent on government to protect us from those who might invade our airplanes, and the Guard is let down. So if we didn't depend on the government to take care of us, we would have more consumer protection. In the ideal society, we'd have Ralph Nader working in the private sector and really helping us to protect the consumer, but he wouldn't be engaged in just promoting big government. See, but his intent would be similar.